Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be working on a Dodge Ram 4-wheel drive. I just recently got this truck back from my son. I think I had this truck about 10 years ago. I bought this thing off of my brother-in-law, and it's just been handed through the family, this and that. So it's got a gas leak coming off the top of the gas tank. I think it may be a return line or something that's bad, but I'm gonna get this tank dropped out of this, and I'll do a video on it. I don't know if any of y'all have done this before. I have not dropped the tank out of this truck, but I looked at it yesterday and it's going to be really straightforward. Alright, we're going to start by loosening these two hose clamps, sliding them back, and then I'm going to take my hose pick and run around these. This should just push them right off. I don't know if you guys have one of these hose picks here, but man, they're a lifesaver when it comes to getting radiator hoses, water pump hoses, and fuel neck hoses off. So all you got to do is just loosen those clamps and stick this in there and run it around, and I mean, it makes a huge difference on getting these things off instead of trying to wiggle them and pry them off and stuff. But we'll get started on that. Tell you what, I'm gonna grab a brush. I'm gonna brush off some of this dirt. That way none of it goes back down in the fuel line. Grab a brush real quick. This truck is a 4-wheel drive, so it goes down some dirt and gravel roads often. So, well, I don't know how often, but it does in its lifetime. So I'm gonna have some debris under here. Just protect your eyes, you'll get this stuff in your face real easy. Let's get these things taken loose. There it is, that one's loose now. This hose pick makes a hell of a difference on getting these things loose. I wish I would have learned about these things, or they had them years ago. All these years I've been doing this, I never had them. Alright, looks like this one's going to take a smaller bit, so let me go grab one of those. Alright. That front one was 5/16. This back one's got a 1/4 inch. I mean, you can use a screwdriver. Just easier to put a nut driver on there. You don't have to worry about it slipping off. Trying to keep that slot lined up. Alright. Let's see how this one goes. To my knowledge, this gas tank's never been off. I mean, it may have been off. Somebody may have done a fuel pump in it. It's not been off in the 10 years I've owned it, or that it's been in my family. I think this is a 96 model 4-wheel drive. Alright, that one's fine. When I go to drop it down, it should slide right out. Alright, so we have one strap at the front of the fuel tank and another strap at the back. We just got to remove these two nuts. I'm going to go hit these with some WD-40 or PB Blaster. Make them just a little bit easier to get off. I'll grab my impact. We'll get a jack set under here. We'll place a floor jack about center of the fuel tank. Zip those off, and then we'll lower it down. Alright, so the easiest thing for me to do was just cut it. I'm replacing the return line and the fuel line, both anyway, because who knows how old they are. It's probably original. I'm getting ready to unplug this electrical cable, so the plug, I'm going to clean some of the grime off of it too. I got a brush right here handy, so I might as well clean up what I'm about to unhook. Let's see. You pull up on that. Pull out. Yep, got it out. Get this jack out of here. Slide this tank out. It needs to come out this way. I'll tell you what, these running boards are crap. Take a look and see what we got here. It don't look like the return line was leaking. Fuel hose is disintegrated, so now it did have some pressure on it, not much, when I cut it. So I mean, it could be that. Could be the O-ring. So I'm going to open it up anyway. So we'll get to cleaning this thing off. There's a cap on a vent that's busted. Not sure if that'll cause a leak or not, but I do know what was happening. I just drove this truck home last week from my son's house, which is about, I don't know, 12 miles from here. He had parked it last year because it had a fuel leak, and he just hadn't messed with it. So I got it home and I left it running, got out from under it. I noticed that it had fuel running off of the fuel tank from the top. So it has to be most likely that disintegrating fuel line. Like I said, we're going to clean this up real good, get it opened up, and we'll take a look at it. Alright, we're going to hit this with the magic air. It's kind of like a magic eraser, but it's made out of magic air from the magic compressor. All right, magic air done the trick. All right, we're gonna spin this ring off, get this fuel pump out, show you this. We're gonna replace both of these hoses and the hose clamps. We're covered in, I'm sorry. We're gonna replace both of these hoses. These hose clamps were covered in, you know, dirt from all the years of being under the truck, so they kind of rusted. We're gonna get those off. We're gonna put new clamps and new hoses on that. Persuasion. And a bigger flat chisel, hammer chisel, or screwdriver chisel. Get done.
What are you doing? Is that the gas tank?
Yeah. Alright, that done it right there. Spin this ring off. Need some more magic air. Gotta keep all the debris out of the tank. Ring is off. More magic air. All right, let's take a look inside. Some of that fuel drain. Man, that's a long pump. Super long. Extremely long. Wow. Now that's a long fuel pump housing. And it has a lot of gas in it, so let's pour that out. Luckily, gas is cheap right now because of Joe Biden. Sarcastically. So that probably was only about $60 worth of gas right there that I spilled on top. Anyway, let's take a look at this sock filter. Hey, not bad. Not bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a new one on there since I got the pump out. All right. All right. Just got that out. Looks like the leak wasn't coming from the. Let's look at the O-ring. No, O-ring's good. Fuel pump ring looks good. So leak wasn't coming from there, so we're going to go with fuel lines. So new fuel line, new return line, new hoses. Knock a little more dirt off of this thing, then we'll get it put back in. Yep. Yeah, that is only about 8. All right, got the hoses taken off of everything. This is a list of what's going to be replaced. We want to have our fuel neck filler hose, the return or the vent tube, sock filter for the fuel pump, vent cap on the fuel pump, That thing is cracked, so we got to replace that. That could be an issue. Fuel line disintegrated. Has to be the fuel leak. Vent tube, return line for the fuel tank. So anyway, that's what we're going to replace. I got everything plugged up and covered up while I'm gone to get parts, and we'll go get those and get back to work once I get everything back. Alright, so got the tank back together. They didn't have a sock filter for this fuel pump. They didn't even list it in their system. I went to 2 different parts stores. I would probably have to order it off of Rock Auto or eBay or something like that. So it wasn't bad, it wasn't torn, it wasn't stopped up. I was just going to replace it because I had the tank out. So I put it back in there, put a new vent cap on it. I got a new fuel line and a new vent line return. I've got those already installed. They didn't have these either new, so I just cleaned up the ends of them real good. I got new clamps for both ends, and I've got it ready to slide back under here. So I'm gonna get it slid under here and get the jack underneath it, get my fuel pump all hooked up. All right, I got it stuck under here. I went ahead and hooked up the fuel lines, and I hooked up the power plug. Just got the filler tube and stuff just sitting over here. I primed the pump a few times. That's cycling the key, so I'm going to start it up and look for any leaks. See any leaks. I think we're going to be okay with this, so I'll shut it off and get the jack underneath it. Yeah, I think that's going to work out just fine. Alright, so I worked it in here best I could, and I got it on top of the jack. Got it up in there. Got my straps hung back in. Then I was having a hard time getting it to balance out because I didn't get my 2x4 on there. So I went and got a couple jack stands. Stuck one under the front, one under the back. Try to get my 2x4 underneath here now so I can push up on this thing. I'm sorry, level. Let's try this out. Yeah. We got to get that shield back in on the other side, so I need to have my jack centered up and I can pick up on here more evenly. There we go. I'm just lining up where the strap was to where the strap is now. It's kind of in a, it hugs the frame, so it kind of falls right in place. But I believe that's it. Yep, I believe that's all the way in. We'll get around on the other side and get that shield brought up there. See, can we get them straps hung on? Put them nuts on there and get her zipped up. Then we should be. All right. Let's get this shield. See, can we get it to slide up in here? See, can we get a nut just stuck on there to keep that strap from backing off. Alright, got the first strap hooked up, nut on there. Let's see what we got here. You got to make sure you put the plate or the strap or the shield behind the stud. That one went right on. All right, before I get ahead of myself and get those all tightened up, I'm gonna go back around and look at the filler neck tube or hose and the vent hose. I'm gonna hook those up because I don't think I got them hooked up right now before I get too far ahead. I don't have to undo all this and drop it down again. So we'll go take a look at those. All right, let's see, can we get these to hook up? Yeah, just as I thought. No, that should be on correctly. Kind of a pain in the ass. I'm gonna put a little grease on the end of that tube. I got some vacuum grease. I'm just gonna rub it on here, make that slide on a little better before I tighten it down. All right, get a little vacuum grease on here. A little bit on that one. One slid on. Loosen that clamp up a little. These two clamps are got the 1/4 inch nut driver. That should get it there. All right, now we'll go back around and take the impact, run up those nuts on the tank, on the straps, and should be it. All right, we're gonna take the impact, run up these nuts on the fuel strap. We'll make sure the strap looks good. Now we'll get the front one. All right, this is the tools that you'll need to complete this job. It's the ones that I used. You can use the ones you want, but you definitely need some wire brushes to clean all the dirt off. And I used the air gun to blow off all the debris off the gas tank once I got it out. My hose clamps are 5/16 and 1/4 inch, or you can use a flat tip screwdriver. This radiator hose removal tool comes in super handy. WD-40 hammer, zip ties. I use zip ties at the end of this video for the heat shield was kind of rattling, so put those on there to fix that. You'll need your rags. You need some I use some new fuel line to replace all that. This is the fuel line I took off. That's what the problem was. That's why I started on this job anyway, because it was leaking fuel. Pry bar. And sometimes when I'm putting hoses back on, I like to put some of this high vacuum grease. It's lubricating and sealing. I've been using this stuff for about 20 years. That tube will last you about 20 years. You can get that on Amazon. But I use it for putting all kind of seals, hoses, and all that stuff on. I've been using it forever. It's good stuff. Helps stop leaks and stuff. But anyway, these are the tools that you'll need to do this task. And all right, this concludes this video, and it's a success. The problem was the fuel line, the main fuel line was rotted, and it was leaking. I'm pouring gas out the side of it. So we got new fuel lines on here, new clamps. We pulled the fuel pump out. We were going to replace the fuel pump strainer. They didn't have any at the parts store. So we just cleaned it, put it back in, and got everything hooked back up. And it's a success. It works. This truck's going to have some things done to it. It needs some work, some door panel work, needs a dash. The four-wheel drive vacuum system needs some work. It hasn't worked in a few years because the vacuum lines are actually unhooked off of the four-wheel drive actuator on the front differential. So I'm going to be replacing that with a cable operated selector switch. Well, it's a cable engage for the four-wheel drive. It's engaged. You don't have to worry about vacuum lines, and you don't have to worry about the vacuum switch on the transfer case or any of that. So I'm just going to bypass all the vacuum stuff and put a manual gauge on here, or cable. So it'll be cable pull, four-wheel drive engagement. I prefer that. That way I know what I got. I'm not trying to guess if it's engaged or not. But anyway, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please subscribe. A lot of people watching the videos aren't subscribed, but go ahead and subscribe if you would, please. I am trying to get to 500 subscribers for the No Name Nationals in Sikeston, Missouri. That happens this September. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.